All right, everybody out there, I'm the only living fanboy. This is my first monthly meeting that I'm going to have. I'm going to do these Zoom meetings every month from now on. Hopefully get some different guests. Maybe some of you who are watching right now will be my next guest. But today, my guest is Tim. Say hi, Tim.
Hey.
There we go. That's it. So this month, it's the end of the year. It's not as much as, many comebacks as sometimes you get throughout the year because we're kind of winding down. But what were the comebacks that stood out the most for you in December of 2020?
Well, to be honest, the one I was really looking forward to was Chung Ha, but she got COVID.
Yeah.
That got delayed, and that's unfortunate. I don't know when that's going to come out. Maybe January, February next year. But I would have to say Taeyeon. I always enjoy everything she puts out.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the highlight for December, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, December is kind of a weird month because there's not a lot of comebacks, like you said. And I would say that maybe it's because of the holiday seasons. A lot of these companies let's not put out a lot of materials because of Christmas or, but I really enjoy Taeyeon's probably the best out of all of them.
So what do you think about?
I know everybody's real big on IZ*ONE's comeback, but I don't follow them. I'm not a huge fan of groups like that or because after a while you get invested in it and then 1 or 2 years down the road, they disband and go back to the respective company. So
that's the way, with IOI, that was the big problem was, the thing is that we do go into it, knowing this, we know there's going to be a temporary group, but then unfortunately we get hooked on it. And that's the problem with those. But fortunately, in the case of IOI, you had, everybody from that group went on to do something big for that matter, usually something, you're saying about Chung, for example, she's a big solo artist now and she got started with IOI.
I think she's probably one of the best out there. For the longest time, I always thought nobody's going to be able to I would say out of the female solo artists, Taeyeon is the best in my opinion. But, it's nobody's ever going to be better than her. But Chung Ha, she puts out some of the best, stuff out there. I had no idea she was part of IOI because when I got into K-pop, I had just caught the tail end of all that.
Right.
So, when I found out they had disbanded, I had asked a friend, I'm how long were they together? A year. I said, I asked them, I said, why are they disbanding after years? And they explained to me about the music show and all of that. And I was so new to the whole K-pop world. I was well, I had no idea they did stuff like that because you only see not necessarily putting groups together, but just, American Idol.
Right.
You see stuff like that here, and you think they win a contest to be a solo artist, but over there, they're putting the whole group together. Yeah,
well, for example, you're saying, you said, Western competition shows. You think about Fifth Harmony. They were together for probably 3 or 4 years, and there was never and of course, with that though, the one thing was that was not supposed to be part of the show. That was a happy coincidence that Simon put together at the end. So, but even look at 16. JYP 16, Twice is, is not a temporary group. There's Momoland, another one that came from a show. So not all of them, are temporary. There are a few that they have this, we'll put together for a year and a half or 2.5 years or something like that. And then they get disbanded after that and then they go their own way. But in the case of IZ*ONE, it came out of AKB48. It was produced 48. It was, so, I'm not sure what's going to happen now. Then go back to AKB48, Nako Sakura and Hitomi. I don't know what's going to happen. They were, the three of them were in there for a while anyways in AKB48. So I don't know what's going to happen next. I think they could probably go on to do a solo thing like Changha did with IOI or Somi or, So
One, I know one of the girls in is one. There's that I can't remember her name, but there's always that rumor that she's going to end up joining Everglow.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who was that now? I'm trying to remember which one. I did hear that. I can't remember which one that was. It was one of the Korean members.
Yeah,
I've heard. Yeah, I heard rumors.
She's already signed to Everglow's label. So like, well, when this is all over, she's going to join Everglow. But my thing is with that, and I get a lot of backlash from it. Like, why would you add a member to a group that's been around for almost 2, maybe going on 3 years now?
Yeah, it's kind of long.
I understand they do that. Like, well, did you know so-and-so joined this group after IOI? I'm like, yeah, but that was like 6 months. And I think
with Yeonjung, with WJSN, but that was said. Well, that was said like 6 months. It wasn't that far in.
Yeah, it was such a smaller period of time, but this is 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people get upset with me when I say that. And I'm like, if she joins Everglow, I don't care. Everglow is one of my favorite groups. I'm still going to listen to them. Still going to support them. I'm going to buy their albums.
Yeah.
So,
there's a lot of these, these rumors that float around that have very little validity.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's possible, but I mean, maybe if they were going to be putting out another group or something in the future, maybe they would save her for that because she is, like you said, signed. But I don't foresee them going on with putting her into an already established group. It doesn't make any sense. It's been around for, I'm not even sure how long Everglow's been around for. Probably 4 years or so.
I think it's actually going on 3.
Oh, 3. It seems like they've been around for a while. I don't know why.
Well, they put out 4 albums now. 3. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Let me see if I can check here.
I think it's 3 or 4.
Yeah, let me see. I'm not actually sure. I should know that. That's one group where I don't know. Usually I know when they debuted, but I don't know. Let's see. Know that. Oh, they just debuted. It's saying in March of 2019. Really? Was that? See, after you've been in K-pop for a while, everything just kind of blends together, and it seems like it's probably been years or something, and it's only been a year. But yeah, it was 2019. Doesn't sound right, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't sound right. I know. It seems like they've been around for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well, I think it's because some of these groups put out, like, I would say, depending on the group, an average of 2 to 3 albums. I mean, if we look at Twice, it's usually around 3. And some of the smaller groups, they can only afford to do 1.
Yeah.
But like, even a group, I'm a huge fan of Dreamcatcher. I love them to death. And this year, I think is the first time they put out 2 albums.
Yeah, 2 this year.
I mean, last year and the year before was obviously 1, but they're becoming such an established group and they're getting more and more popular that they can afford. And this year they put out their first full album. Other albums have been either singles or mini albums. So,
right. So speaking of going back to Twice for a moment, so what did you think about? I know that to this month we did have a kind of a strange. I won't say strange, but it was the way it was done was kind of weird with the Twice comeback. What did you think about that? How that was done?
Well, so they did a lot of the teaser photos, which I was not surprised by that.
Right.
I was expecting, like, okay, they'll do the teaser photos, they'll do a group photo. Obviously, one of the girls, she's taking care of health issues with anxiety or depression or something. And then I thought they were going to release an MV, but they didn't. Yeah. It was just like an audio. And I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. That's very unlike JYP and Twice.
Well, yeah.
I know. See, I think it was Neon, she said in a V-Live chat with fans, and a fan had asked, what's the MV like? And she had said, there's no MV, but people thought she was trolling the
joking,
fan. Yeah. And I was like, well, she's known for that, and I took it as that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day of came, and she wasn't trolling. She was telling the truth.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, you said it is a little bit strange for someone to like JYP to be and to not have a full scale. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been one of those things like the fans really love the song because they performed at one of the awards shows.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, well, you have to release this, and they're like, okay, we'll do it for the fans. There's things like it. So I don't know, but I did like the song. It's different from the typical Twice stuff that you see.
Yeah.
Which is why I was real big on the I Can't Stop Me song. And when I bought that album, like every song for me personally was really good. It was
definitely a change in the usual. I think that was kind of changed up, and I think it fit well with the American market too. I think because I've been hearing people say, oh, well, now it's like there's all these stores saying I want to get Twice in, I want to get because of that so they were on American television now, which something that Blackpink had already done several years ago. But now they're transitioning now into that American television stage. And then even said ITZY had already did an American television.
It's kind of funny that, a lot of fans get upset when they talk about Blackpink and they call them the queens of K-pop because they've done all this stuff, tours and shows and stuff here in the States.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I understand their frustration. Maybe they're a fan of Twice or somebody else and they think they're the queens. But, there's a little truth of Blackpink being the queens of K-pop, at least right now, is because they're doing all this international stuff.
Right. Right. The scale Twice, of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But Twice, they did a little bit of I would say a small tour here in the States. It was like in Chicago and LA, whatever. But they didn't get the attention.
Right.
It's not like they're a bad group or they're terrible. I mean, I love Twice just as much as anybody else, but they're not, for some reason, they're not getting over. And I know Red Velvet did some shows in California and Chicago, but again, they didn't get over, which I thought was kind of surprising. Yeah. But, when I started looking at the girl groups potentially breaking through like BTS did, I didn't honestly think Blackpink would be that group. And I honestly didn't think it would be Twice or Red Velvet. I thought a group that would reach out to more of the American people. I sound like a politician now. But just reach out to the American audience.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe I'm being a little biased, but I thought it would be Dreamcatcher.
Well, I've said that myself.
Yeah, they have that rock concept, and more Americans like rock music than pop music. So that's why I like it's not going to be Twice. Blackpink does have a different vibe than Twice and Red Velvet and some others, but I thought, well, it's probably likely going to be Dreamcatcher. I was wrong. I still think at some point Dreamcatcher will get there, but it's just a matter of time. And I think now that Twice is starting to get some, on TV shows and stuff like that, I think they'll be the next one to break through to that market.
Yeah, I mean, I know they were, the thing about it was Twice had already, because of the Japanese members, had established a big audience in Japan. And I kind of assumed that Dreamcatcher would too, because of the popularity of that sort of metal rock sound in Japan is very popular. Same with like in Germany, for example, there's, a big, base for metal and stuff. So as far as like, I thought for Japan, North America, Europe, I thought it would be more to Dreamcatcher would be something that would catch on more because it's more what's liked in here than what's say in South Korea where metal's not as popular. So it's more of Japan that as far as East Asia goes, it has the big metal craze. But I mean, so even ITZY did try to come too, even before Twice. Did a very small television thing in New York. I think they came to DC as well and did a show. So they were trying to do more East Coast. I know ITZY was trying to do that, and I think ITZY has like to me like when Dollar Dollar the first single came out, it sounded a lot like Meghan Trainor or someone like that who's big in America. So I thought this might really be JYP or maybe even K-pop girl groups as a whole, this would be their way to break into the American market. He said, and right away, you know, they did get booked on a small time morning show in New York City. So, I mean, I know they got a lot of flack for that because, it wasn't done right or something. People were complaining, but you know, it's a start. It's a start because, you know, a lot of people don't want to accept it. I mean, it was a big deal, you know, whenever 10 years ago, when the Wonder Girls got on, what was that? Some national daytime show. I mean, it was like a big deal. And we would just keep, you know, everybody knows about BTS. Everybody knows about, you know, boy groups, but nobody knows much about the girl groups as far as like everyday people that aren't K-pop fans, you know. So
right.
it's small steps, working the way up to try to get the girl groups to kind of be, you know, assimilated in with. And once again, assimilated might be a bad term because, you know, you don't want them to assimilate. You don't want them to be just like American groups or just like European groups or what have you. You want them to be unique and still be K-pop.
That's probably why a lot of people get, you know, upset with Blackpink fans because, like, Blackpink, they'll do their Korean songs, but now on their last album that we had to wait years for, they did several English songs. So, and they weren't bad songs. You know, the album overall I thought was pretty good. That the fact that the fans had to wait so freaking long for a full album.
Yeah, it took a while, and they had the June sort of, you know, the tease with How You Like That.
Yeah, which, you know, and then personally, when they did the song with Selena Gomez, it was fine. I didn't care for it myself. I mean, I don't hate it. It's just like to me, it's like it feels like a typical summertime American song.
Right.
So, and I know Girls' Generation did David Letterman with when they did The Boys, that song several years ago. So, like, when the girls had their moment, Girls' Generation, you know, came close to that, but for whatever reason, Blackpink was, I guess you'd call it, they broke the glass ceiling to get into this market.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I don't want to sound negative or anything, but I don't think anybody will ever replicate what BTS is doing.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to top that.
I mean, I've seen articles that they're like, people are like, well, BTS got nominated for Grammy. Look how long it took them to get nominated.
Right.
And the other thing, a lot of people are like, well, Blackpink should have been nominated too this year. Well, a case could be made for it, but when they released all their songs, you know, all the Grammy nominations had already came out.
Right.
Or was being probably processed or whatever they do. But they did say that we'll look at Blackpink's songs for 2021. So there's a little hope that maybe they'll probably be considered for a nomination, but not actually get nominated.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen with any of that stuff. I don't watch award shows here in America or even in Korea because I think a lot of that stuff, again, my personal opinion here, I think a lot of that stuff is rigged. All
right. Well, one last thing before we move, going back to just the whole year in review, I want to talk about an interesting comeback that was kind of just thrown at us that I know made a lot of people happy, including myself, and that was the Oh My Girl band Hannah Christmas comeback with Potato with Snowball. What was your take on that? It was kind of thrown at us, and
well, I honestly didn't know that they were doing that until I saw it. Until I saw it on Facebook, and you know, I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not a super huge fan of like the subunits. I like the full group stuff. That's just me personally, but you know, I thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice little December treat, if you will.
Yeah, I was surprised they should get an MV. I thought it was going to be the dance video because they put that out first, and then there was a whole MV later. You know, with them making cookies and decorating the trailer. That was very nice. You know, and then of course we had
a nice little Christmas thing. You know, the thing is with, and a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people say this, but there's not a lot of really good K-pop Christmas songs out there. So like in December, I like listening to Christmas music, but there's only a handful of songs I like. I know the subunit of Girls' Generation, TTS, did a song that I enjoy. Twice did a couple songs that I like, but there's not a lot. I mean, I know Taeyeon did some songs too, but there's not a lot of Christmas K-pop songs out there, and a lot of fans that I have seen have said that, well, K-pop Christmas songs are just terrible, but there's some decent ones out there.
Right.
You just gotta look for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like with J-pop where you have, starting in November, you have like everybody and their brother comes out with a Christmas song, an original Christmas song. Where with K-pop, usually it's the covers. They'll do covers. Usually it's a song, like Santa Tell Me, which is very popular in Korea. Even though it's an American song, usually it's something like that, or they do like Wham's Last Christmas. But
yeah, well, I know
not many originals.
Luna did a performance of one of Mariah Carey's songs at one of the music shows recently, and that was really done nicely too. So I know Korea does celebrate Christmas just as much as we do, but I honestly think that probably they just like listening to the old school American Christmas songs. I mean, even here, the second Thanksgiving is over, there's Christmas music on the radio.
Oh yeah, the next day.
Yeah, so people go out and do their Black Friday shopping and listen to Christmas music, but I was smart. I did my Christmas shopping ahead online because I wasn't going out in this pandemic.
Oh yeah. It's best now with so many options for even for home delivery and everything too. I mean, it's become easier and easier. I mean, I think I don't want to get too much into pandemic or politics or anything like that, but it's one of those things. I want to go back to just like 9/11, for example. I mean, there were safety procedures and things that probably with airports and stuff and such that probably should have been done before 9/11. But because 9/11 happened, if you want to look at maybe the one bright side of things, it helped to accelerate that technology and get people to want to be more safe about airports and traveling and things. I think the same with like COVID, even though it's a horrible thing and it's killing the equivalent of 9/11 every day around the world. But at the same time, it's accelerating technology like Zoom that we're on right now. It's accelerating the technology to have deliveries being made to your home. And, in East Asia, they've always been, very, very vigilant about wearing masks. And now that's something that's happening around the globe, just for general safety when you have any kind of a virus of any kind. So I feel like there is a silver lining, to this dark cloud that is COVID. There is this where we are getting some technology that might have otherwise taken maybe decades, even though we already have the capabilities. But now we're getting it early. We're getting it probably sooner than it probably would have been done, including safer ways to just do anything, even if you have the flu or something. So that's one of those good things. And I mean, there were many times that people could work from home too and save on carbon emissions. I mean, the list could go on, but I don't want to get too much on that kind of stuff. Here, this is about K-pop. But now going back to just the overall year, 2020 in review, what were like some of the standout songs for you in 2020?
So, man, there were a lot of good stuff that came out this year. So I'm trying to think back. Man, there's so much good stuff out there. The horrible year of 2020 years, I would say for a lot of people, at least the people I've talked to, that K-pop had a very good year in terms of music and all that. Well, obviously being a Dreamcatcher fanboy, I did enjoy the first full album and then their mini album later on this year. I will say that with the two comebacks that they had this year, there's nothing wrong with Boca. I like Boca. I think it's a great song. But I think if they had released Break the Wall as the title track, I think that song, because it's a really great song. You should listen to it. Had they released that as the title track, I think that would have got them their first win. Because I know a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't matter as long as the album sales are up. I'm like, no, if they get at least one win, it gives them some recognition. But other than Dreamcatcher, Everglow with La Di Da and Dun Dun were two of my favorites. WJSN Butterfly was I listened to that for probably several months because it's such a good song. Like, and
the MV too. Well, I mean, all their MVs.
Well, I think that's what maybe why I like it so much. I mean, I didn't listen to the song just off my Pandora or Spotify or whatever. Like, I would go listen to it and watch the MV because it was such a well done MV. It was very, I guess you'd call it was very pretty. It was very springtime like. I think that's when it came out, about that time.
I think it was June. Yeah. Well, like the end of spring. Yeah.
End of spring towards the end. But it was a nice song. Actually, All My Girls Nonstop was one of my favorites. And that was the MV was really done nicely too. I think they should have got more. I don't know how many wins they got on like music shows, but I think they should have got more credit for that in the year-end award shows. Yeah. So,
well, that was the thing. Like they did get how many wins? I don't remember. I know they got at least one win for that, which was a big deal for them. But I know a lot of people, kind of including myself, were saying maybe they would have got even more wins had they, what you kind of were saying about Break the Wall, had they released Dolphin as the A-side. Maybe they would have gotten even more wins because Dolphin, I mean, within the Miracle community, the fandom, it seems like it's synonymous, myself, from what I've seen, that including my own personal taste, that Dolphin is the superior song. Now, there are some people who have argued that it, Nonstop was the right decision, but because it did get them a win. But could they have maybe gotten even more wins had they released, much like you were saying about, Dreamcatcher getting no wins with Boca, had they released Break, we don't know. We don't have a time machine. We can't tell what would have happened if they would have did the opposite. But I mean, it's something, to discuss. Hindsight's 2020. 2020, there's no pun intended, folks. But you don't know what would have happened if they would have, chose a different A-side.
Well, it's just like, I don't know if it was on the full album. Yeah, I think it was on the full album. Dreamcatcher had a B-side track called Red Sun. And it's one of my personal favorites off the, I mean, there are a lot of good songs on the album overall. Red Sun and Into the Frozen, I think, are the best two tracks off the album besides Scream. And a lot of people said, well, if had they done one of those two, could have been a different story. But personally, I think the reason Dreamcatcher doesn't get any wins, and it's not lack of effort or talent or anything like that, it's just that, and the fans, I'm one of them that does it, that goes out and votes their heart out for them so they can get that at least one win on one of the shows. But I think it's just the fact that, South Koreans aren't just interested in that type of music, and that's just all there is to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case.
That's disappointing, but it is what it is.
Right.
And from people that I've talked to, said they liked Apple better than Margot with G-Friend. But I liked Apple. It was a great song, but when Margot came out, I fell in love with it. I still listen to it.
And then we started out the year, I believe it was February, with Crossroads, and that was something that was. I thought this is more like a J-pop thing. I thought it's literally, if you listen to the actual song, it's literally written like a J-pop song. I thought this was going to be a great breakthrough into the Japanese market for them. But I didn't really get that impression having seen the outcome. I don't know if they were trying to get into the Japanese market with that, and then it just kind of failed and blew up in their face or whatever. But, I think it was overshadowed by the two, as you mentioned, the two later singles, Apple and Margot.
Well, I listened to Crossroads the other day, and that's another song that that's really good that is probably really underrated.
Yeah.
But I think the reason at first why I didn't like it is when they did the MV, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't go with the song.
Mm.
But later on, after you watch different like people's takes on YouTube and videos and stuff, such like that, it's like, here's why they did it. Here's why it's supposed to make sense. And after watching all like the, I don't want to call them conspiracy theories, but just theories of the song, I'm like, okay, I get your point. I see what you're talking about. But at first, I didn't like Crossroads. I thought it was a decent song. I didn't hate it or anything. It's just like, it's all right. But listening to it the other day, I'm like, this is a really good song. Why didn't I pick up on this when it came out?
Right.
But like you said, when Apple came out, I was like, oh, this is a great song.
Yeah.
And then later down the year, they heard Margot. I was like, no, this is better than Apple.
Right.
So and I hadn't had any G-Friend albums yet. But then I bought the last two because I really liked Apple and Margot. So, I mean, like I have a whole notebook of albums I want to get one day. So with various different groups, some together, some no longer together, but
I feel like this year we got, I think, more groups trying to branch out, especially like Luna. Luna really roped in a lot of, they had a big international following anyway, but they really roped in a lot of new fans with this, with the Midnight album.
Yeah. I took a lot of crap from people that their last song that they did, So What? Well, not So What, Why Not? It's not a bad song. It didn't, I don't know what the word would be to use here, but it just didn't I would say it didn't resonate with me like So What did. When So What came out, I was like, no, this is a great song.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
It really had kind of, I guess you could say it had a kind of a rock vibe to it. It just, this is going to sound corny, but after listening to the song, I felt like I wanted to go beat somebody up. Because that's like, you listen to a song like, let's go,
Yeah, so it's ready to rumble.
Yeah, that's what it made me feel like.
It's empowering.
You gotta go saying some stuff. I'm going to, so what? Let's go.
Yeah.
But, when Why Not came out, it took some time for it to grow on me. But, overall, I do like it. The album overall is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, but.
What do you think about the whole star thing? I think maybe you're going to get into that.
Well,
the whole
that's
star, with the English having voice and star and.
Yeah, well, at first I didn't catch it. I listened to the whole album.
Yeah.
And then they did the MV, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm confused here. I did not realize, it's the same song. One's in Korean, one's in English. I felt really kind of stupid when I'm going to pick up on that. But both tracks, both English and the Korean version, they're perfectly fine. I like them. The MV was really cool. I liked it. Obviously, they're preparing for another comeback in January with all the members. So we'll have to see what happens with that.
Yeah. Now, what about speaking of the summertime, June, there was the controversy over the MV for Nature's Girls. So what do you think about that? They released a version, then it was, we have to make the unreleased version because they won't play it on TV.
Yeah. I don't care. I thought they did the uncensored one, and then they had to make one for obviously legal purposes or maybe TV purposes in Korea. But the song was fine. It was probably one of the best songs that they did. It's not my personal favorite. One of their earlier songs, which I can't remember the name of right now, is one of my favorites. But I thought it was different. I like, hey, change it up. See, throw stuff at the wall and see what happens. I liked it. So
Yeah.
I can see why they had to do a censored version because,
Right.
it was a little dark, but, I listen to Dreamcatcher and they do some dark concepts. And so it didn't bother me. I think some people are just a little too sensitive on silly things. Like if, when Twice did More and More, there was a controversy over the artwork or something in the video.
Yeah, the arch thing, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know whatever happened with that because it was a huge controversy. A week later, it was gone. So I don't know if JYP paid the artist to use it or what, but like, stop making a mountain out of a mole. So that didn't bother me too much. I thought it was fine.
So what do you think about the, obviously there's a lot of, Cube isn't a good group. What do you think? You're not a good group, but it's not a good company for groups to be in Cube Entertainment. But what do you think about like CLC and G Idol this year?
So, I'm kind of disappointed with the fact that CLC gets treated like garbage. There's just no way to put it. There's such a talented group. They had a few digital singles in the last few years. They were good songs. They did well. But they're kind of like, okay, here, release a song and get off our case. That's the vibe I get with this company. And then I bought Helicopter because it was a physical single.
Right.
I'm like, I only have one other CLC album. I'm like, I got to get this because it's such a good song and I want to support them. So I got the single, and then obviously Elfie wants out of her contract, and they're likely to probably disband because just petty differences or whatever. If she's unhappy, it's just with her. It's with any group or label. If your artist or group are unhappy, let them go.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can easily form another group or find a replacement for whoever. You see that in groups a lot, or she wants to go and he wants to go. We'll let him go and we'll just replace him with a trainee.
Right.
So, and then with Idol, the song that they did in the summertime, I really, really like that one. I did buy that. Yeah, I did buy that one because it was a real fun summertime song. I did eventually buy the other album prior to that one too, but Oh My God was not. It was all right, but I kind of found it a little annoying. That's just, and I don't want to be like, I'm sure people see it, will see this and be like, well, that's kind of rude, but it's just, it just didn't resonate with me. But Lion, on the other hand, that was awesome. I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are. They're getting more prolific. They got a comeback coming out in January now. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. But between the three songs that they did, obviously, I would say Dum 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 was my favorite between the three. I mean, like I said, I didn't hate Oh My God. It's just it wasn't for me. And Lion was a really good song. I like that one. I thought the MV was pretty cool that they did that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Very epic MV.
I would say between the three, Lion's MV was my favorite. So
yeah. So I don't want to get too much into more controversy, but what about the whole AOA? I mean, that was just a big bombshell that came out. Very disheartening, very unnerving. I mean, just the hearing and seeing the photo and things. What was your take on that?
Well, like you said, it's not uncommon to see stuff like this happen where there's potential bullying between members or whatever. That's I don't want to say that's common, but unfortunately it is. It's just the reality of maybe the industry or something. But to the extent that this was over other things I've seen was, I can't put in the words. I mean, I just, I'm not going to swear, but it was pretty effed up. So I think they both need to get help, and I hope they do. And every time I say this, I always say people are saying I'm defending her, but I'm not. I think Jinmin needs to get help for whatever. Maybe I don't know if it's something that maybe she's dealt with her whole life. If I got to be controlling or something, or it's just that's just who she is.
Right.
But with how it is in Japan and in Korea, you know, people throwing death threats and hate comments at somebody, they end up taking their own life. And I don't want nothing bad to happen to her.
Right.
Even though even overall, that she's a terrible person, you know, I just don't want nothing bad to happen to her, and I want nothing bad to happen to Mina.
Right.
Because I think they should get help, and eventually, maybe years down the road, maybe they'll talk, work it out. I doubt it, but who knows? But I hope that there's never another incident like this again with any group.
Right.
But
yeah,
I'm going to say it's probably an unlikely thing, because you're always hearing, well, so-and-so is bullying this member, and then you find out it's not true. It's just blown out of proportion.
Right.
You know, and then, you know, the people on the internet, just everybody's got their own opinion, and I understand that, but like some of the people on the internet take it to the extreme, and that's
right.
uncalled for. Not just with this situation, but like the controversy with Irene and Red Velvet. Like, oh, she's screaming at people, she's got a bad attitude. But, you know, the more stuff came out about it, it sounded like she was upset at the fact that she had a wardrobe malfunction. And, you know, it's just the conservative nature of South Korea that, you know, I don't want to be exposed, I'm uncomfortable. And she had the right to be upset. But if she actually, I guess you could say, if she threw a temper tantrum at this person, and again, we don't know, I would say that was uncalled for. But again, we don't know all the details. It sounded like the seamstress, or, you know, whoever does the costumes and outfits for the girls, maybe just got her feelings hurt, and, you know, which is understandable. You know, just maybe she was looking for like 5 minutes of fame or something. I don't know. And I hate to say something like that, because that could be unfair to her.
Right.
So,
but now going, just running with the whole Red Velvet thing, this year we didn't see a full comeback from Red Velvet. We just saw the Monster subunit release. But, you know, how do you feel about the whole, you know, we had Psycho back in December, you know, over a year ago now, December 2019. Then there was the horrible Wendy incident. I mean, how do you take all of this in with what's going on with Red Velvet?
Well, actually, a matter of fact, I read an article. I know it's from All Kpop, and you should take everything that they put out with a grain of salt.
Right.
But they put them on their, there's like 10 groups possibly to disband in 2021, and they're on the list. And they even acknowledged, you know, what I just talked about with Irene and the controversy, and, you know, what happened with Wendy and how that whole situation happened. But like, that incident that happened with Wendy, it wasn't just her. There were other artists that had either slipped or fall or tripped or had gotten hurt.
Right.
Like Mamamoo Solar tripped at the red carpet at that same event. Chung Ha and Twice canceled their performances because the stage felt like it was too slippery, or something was wrong with the stage that made them feel unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Wendy fell and she got seriously hurt, what would happen if she, like had gotten like more than just hurt?
Right.
What would they'd be like, well, it was just a tragic accident. Tragic accident. Let's move on. And like, I think everybody in that situation, I don't know if it was SBS or who did the show, but whoever was taking care of that did a horrible job. And then they said, well, since she's hurt in the hospital, Red Velvet's not going to perform. And then they supposedly kicked out Red Velvet fans, which was kind of a stupid thing to do. It made it much worse. And then SM, I don't think they handled it that great either. But I'm glad she's healthy. She's recovered. They're going to do a comeback this coming year. I don't know when. I hope it's a full group comeback despite the bad publicity with Irene. I hope it would be like, let's hypothetically say, like, if it's in March, everybody will forget about all of that. So
now, obviously, Red Velvet is one of the groups that have been around for a while. But what about Brave Girls and A Pink? What do you think about their comebacks? They had some pretty big songs this year.
Well, some people know that I am not a fan of A Pink. I don't hate them. I know when people find out you're not a fan of a particular group, whether if it's a girl group or a guy group, they automatically assume, well, you hate that group. No, I don't hate any group. There's not a group I hate. I just don't follow A Pink. It's not a group, or it's their music overall is not bad. They have some decent songs. It's just I don't know how to phrase it or what the word is. It's just something that I'm not into. But their last comeback was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but again, I'm not a huge A Pink fan. And I was actually kind of surprised by Brave Girls because it had been a while, and the comeback was, I would say, a nice treat for the year. That it's likely probably going to be their last, from what I understand, and what people were saying. But people say that about groups all the time, like, well, this is likely their last comeback, and then months down the road, they do another comeback. So, when I got into K-pop, people kept telling me to listen to Brave Girls, and I never got a chance to actually do that. But they're a good group. I'm not a fan of theirs either, but they're a decent group. And I think there's certain groups out there that they're really good. Even though I'm not a fan of them, I think there's some groups like they don't get the recognition that they deserve.
So now we talked about the seasoned groups, but what about the rookie groups, or the groups that debuted this year? So what was your take on those? What was your favorite groups?
Okay, first off, I want to get this out of the way. Signature is my personal favorite. I don't care what anybody says. Like, there were so many rookie groups this year. There were a lot of really good ones. But I don't know what it is, but I personally love Signature. I know a lot of people didn't like the debut. I thought it was fun, very catchy. I would say their second single is my personal favorite off the album. Eventually, when they did Every Song, that's when they released the mini song and the mini album for Everything. And I quickly bought that. I pre-ordered it because I felt like if I don't get this now, I'm going to miss out on it.
Right.
And I'm glad I did, because shortly after people had bought up all the pre-orders, their company came out and said, we didn't expect that many pre-orders. We're making albums for everybody. And those who pre-ordered it and aren't going to get theirs in time, we're going to give you, the company actually gave them a poster for the extended wait. I unfortunately was not one of those people that got a poster, but I'm not going to complain about it. So, but,
I mean, that's
Signature was my favorite. Obviously, my second favorite was aespa. with Black Mamba. Let's see, Red Square. Yeah, I just didn't. I'm not going to say anything negative about them, but
Yeah.
I think it just a lot of people. I know some people that like them and think they're a good group, but somebody told me the other day that you're not seeing very much activity from them now for some reason, and they think that they might have potential been a flop, and it's likely that they're not going to go forward with them, which is again unfortunate. You know, and K-pop is such a hit or miss thing, and then Secret Number. At first, when they came out, I'm like, well, I thought they were going to be my favorite over Signature, but Secret Number is probably my third favorite rookie group out of all of them. I mean, there were a lot of really good rookie groups this year that I can't remember all of them, but I would say my top three are Signature, aespa, and Secret Number. I know aespa came out so late in the year, but I didn't expect them to be that good. I know there's rumors going around saying that they're supposed to potentially add 3 members to aespa, but I don't know how true that is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of good debuts this year. The smaller ones, Lunar Solar was another one that I loved.
Right, I completely forgot about Lunar Solar. There's so many good ones that they get overlooked.
Yeah.
And I actually, I just bought that album along with G Friend's latest one. I couldn't find it anywhere. I looked on Choice Music, Music Plaza, different stores that people told me that. I had to buy it off of Amazon through a third-party seller called Value Flag, and they get a lot of. They're a store on Amazon, but they're based in Korea.
Right.
So I knew it would be, and I'm skeptical buying stuff off of Amazon, eBay, without physically seeing the album, or if it's a trusted place like Choice or something.
Right.
But I'm going to take my chance on it. I'm also going to buy G Friend's album with it, to see the legitimacy of it. And it was really fun debut for them. And I don't know where they're going to go with it in the future, but I hope for big things for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And another group that just debuted that was kind of smaller was Maka Maka. And they actually, what they did was they started out with just a digital only single. And then like a month later, they went and transitioned into actually having a physical single. So that's something that I don't know if that's going to be something more that more groups are going to do as they debut. Well, it's just, let's feel the waters and see if there's a potential for,
Yeah, that's what Signature did too. With their debut single, it was a digital download. And then their second release was a digital download, but it did so well among YouTube views and downloads on like Spotify, probably. I don't know if they call it iTunes now, but that's why they're like, well, we're going to do another comeback. It's going to be called Eversong, but the first 2 songs are going to be on this album with 3 additional songs, and you're going to have a mini album with Signature. So,
another one that I really liked was Stacy. I really enjoyed that. I mean, they're working with some of the top producers and everything. They're just out of the gate. I mean, they're just already going to be one of the standouts moving forward next year, and Wua as well.
I think nothing wrong with Stacy. I did like the debut. I also like Bling Bling's debut too, which debuted around the same time. And I think the problem was like you had aespa, Momoland, Bling Bling, and then Stacy all about in the same time frame. And I think, and Momoland's song was really good too, but they all got overshadowed by aespa.
Right, that's the whole thing. Yeah, SM's gonna trump everybody. So
and I would say if aespa didn't debut when they did, I think more people would definitely be talking about Stacy. And I think a Bling Bling song was really good too. I enjoyed it. I liked it better than I did Stacy's. That's just me. But
the Brazilian sound.
Yeah, yeah, I think they all got bright futures.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was actually really surprised how many people liked Stacy. I'm like, well, this is a nice song. It's fun. It was catchy, but I didn't expect it to be like everybody was talking about them. I mean, they were talking about them and Espa. Obviously, Moma Land's already established, so people are going to talk about them regardless.
Right.
But their song kind of got overshadowed by the talk of those two.
With the rookies, yeah.
Got overshadowed by Espa and Stacy. And for me, like, I like Luau, but I'm not entirely sold on them yet. I don't know why. I do like the first two songs, but it's just like, it's almost the same thing with Luna. Like, Luna released some good songs in the beginning. I just wasn't sold on them. But it wasn't until So What came out, I was like, now I'm interested.
Yeah, right.
And
now
even though I didn't
get involved.
Yeah, and then and this is probably the same scenario that I'm not entirely interested in Luau. I don't hate them. Right. I like them. They got talent.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just missing, for me, they're missing that it factor, I guess you would call it. So, and again, I expect great things in their future too. Even though when they debuted shortly after their debut, one of the members decided to leave for, they said, personal reasons.
Mm-hmm.
They never said why. And rumors are going on saying that she couldn't get along with the other members, or the members couldn't get along with her. It's speculation, and I don't want to speculate what it was. But they let her go, and they wish her the best of luck. And it sounded like the last thing I read that she was going to go to school. So, best of luck to her, obviously.
Yeah. So now we talked about the rookie groups, we talked about the seasoned groups, but what about the kind of in-between groups, maybe the smaller ones that's been around for a few years, like Bobby Girl by Fanatics, DBDBD by Saturday. What do you think about those comebacks this year?
Well, like those two groups, and I'm going to throw in also Nature too. I actually quite enjoyed them. I really liked Saturday's comeback. I thought it was very fun, and I thought it was a breakthrough for them, because a lot of people started talking about them, and that's good for them, good for their company. And if they put out another song just like that, I expect big things for them in the future. And
comeback coming,
and Fanatics, I've always been a big fan of theirs. I actually liked that last comeback. I thought it was really fun, and it was a different vibe for them, and I think it worked. I don't know if people were talking about them as much as like Saturday or Aussie, and then Nature was talked about, but I'm pretty sure they weren't talked about in a very positive way, because some people thought that MV was too controversial. I'm like, no, it wasn't that controversial. It's not like they actually were stabbing
or murdering somebody.
Yeah, just a freaking teddy bear. Get over it. Not, like I said, throw something at the wall, see if it sticks.
Mm-hmm. So now moving forward, looking into hopefully a better year overall in 2021, what is, like, I don't want to say the single biggest group that you think is going to go places, or maybe that you're looking forward to yourself in 2021?
Well, we already know of some comebacks coming in January. So I do expect some good things from Luna, obviously. We'll have to see what happens with Red Velvet. I don't know. I also expect and maybe just reading that article earlier tonight, and getting the vibe off people's feedback from it, that, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some upsetting disbandments, but not because the members can't get along or any type of controversy. Like, Dad said that there's a potential of Mamamoo disbanding this year. There had been talk between two of the members on a V Live recently saying that they don't know what they're doing. So I know I said on my Facebook group that I don't see them disbanding, but after talking to some people, like, yeah, I'm kind of changing my opinion a little bit. They're all doing their own thing. I know Solar, I thought she was either in a drama or going to do one. I don't remember. But they're all, like I said, they're all doing their own solo stuff. And they've done a lot together as a group. Yeah. So I think if they were to disband, it would be like what happened with Sistar. It was a mutual agreement. They would all still be friends, but they would be doing their own thing.
It definitely seems like they are friends, and they are doing their own solo stuff. Certainly this year we saw that.
I expect some surprise disbandments that people would be like, "Oh, I didn't see that coming."
Right.
But I can't say who. But if that surprise disbandment comes, it will be, obviously depending on who it is, if it's a girl group or guy group, it would be, disheartening. There's also speculation that some of the girls in Lovelyz are unhappy with not other members, but with the company due to the favoritism to the other members, which I understand. But if they were to leave the group, but the group stays together without whoever leaves, that I can see. But if say Lovelyz disbands or something, that would be kind of disappointing, because they're a decent group and they've put out some really good songs as of late.
Right.
So as of looking forward to what's happening in 2021, I hope to see some good things also from Dreamcatcher. Twice will continue to do some good things. Especially, I personally think the last album that they did was really good. I expect bigger things from them. Lisa and Rose from Blackpink are releasing solo songs for this year or this coming year. So I expect big things from them. Big things for also Blackpink as a whole. I don't know. I don't know what to expect in 2021. I do like BTS. I kind of want to see them win that Grammy.
Right.
That I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. With the category that they're in, it's a winnable shot. So, and amongst all the guy groups and everything, and I've said this numerous times, I don't follow a lot of guy groups, but obviously BTS will continue to do what they're doing. Monster X is my personal favorite. I expect good things from them. Keep an eye on ATs. A lot of people really like them, and they're starting to get recognized as a decent group too. So,
I really like BXK. I liked what they did. Their new group. I was kind of surprised because they seemed like they were different to me than what a lot of boy groups were doing or have been doing.
So Drippin' debuted this year, and they're just with the same company as, I think, Rocket Punch, which, by the way, Rocket Punch has some good comebacks.
Yeah, and Lovelyz is a woman.
Yeah. Drippin' is good. I see a good future for them. And there was another one, I can't remember what they were called. Their debut was, I liked it better than Drippin's. P1 Harmony. That was who it is. I actually liked them better than Triple. So
Yeah, there's just so much new music coming out all the time. From seasoned groups, from new debut groups, from kind of smaller rookie groups, but that are established. I mean, there's just so much music across the board from K-pop, not only girl groups but boy groups as well. It's just that it has been a great year for K-pop. Unfortunately, it hasn't been a great year for much else, but it is one thing that I think everybody can kind of find something positive in. Hopefully they won't get too toxic, and they can find something positive in the K-pop and in that sort of unity that sort of crosses borders. It goes every country. I mean, it's amazing. You see the most remote countries. You see their fans popping up. Saying, hey, we like this group and we stand that group, and it's amazing to see how the whole community is so global. It transcends not even just Europe or North America as far as international fans, but I mean just the smallest, remotest countries you can think of. They have fans, and I'll go on to these live videos, and there'll be fans saying, "I'm from some I never even heard of the country. It's so small." It's just a small, remote country, and yet, it may be like a third world country, and they know about these, about these groups, and it's amazing that within this horrible pandemic we're in, that everyone is able to kind of unite, with K-pop. It's amazing. It's great. It's a wonderful thing, so with the internet and everything. I mean, 50 years ago with the Beatles, that was a global thing, but now we have the internet. It can be even bigger.
Yeah, I would say that is more and more things keep popping in my head. The subunit from WJSN.
Yeah,
yeah, that was really fun, and it was really cute. I actually liked that. Like, it was such a catchy song. It constantly got stuck in my head every time I heard it. Every time it came up on my Pandora, I'm like, oh, this song's going to get stuck in my head again.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, it's great to have them sort of reviving that orange caramel vibe and that kind of subunit. Yeah. I mean, he even said, "Oh My Girl," but Hannah was even kind of a little bit like that, but not as much, obviously, as Chogami.
Yeah. But it's just, when I got into this, I can't remember the year for the life of me, but I know I discovered, I always say Sistar because I want to give the whole group as a credit, but to be, technical, I found Sistar 19 when they released My Boy. And I also I was actually recently on YouTube late one night looking for a song, which I never did find that song. And I knew the person that was singing this song I was looking for was a girl. I was like, maybe it's this. So I clicked on it, and I'm like, and they started singing, and being that I know nothing, I was like, well, it's also not these two. I said to myself, it's not these two Chinese girls, which I didn't know they were Korean because I had never heard of K-pop before.
Right.
And then later on, I discovered, probably later that night, I stumbled across I got curious and well, what else is out there with them? I found some of their other songs, and I came across, YouTube recommends these videos, and they showed me a Miss A song, and then I was like, oh, that's a great song. It was Bad Girl, Good Girl, and I was like, this is really good stuff.
Right.
And
it's got that whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, once there's actually a meme, and it's a person on a pogo stick, and he supposed to jump into this puddle, and when he jumps in the puddle, he falls straight down.
Yeah, into the rabbit hole. Yeah.
Yeah, and
that was how it was for you. Yeah.
Yeah, on the guy it says me, and then on the puddle it says K-pop, and I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah, perfect meme to describe.
Once you're in, you can't I see some people I'm going to downgrade my collection. I'm getting out of it. There's a lot of good stuff coming out. You're going to miss a lot of good stuff.
Right.
But yeah, when I got into this, I had no idea. I felt kind of stupid a lot because I thought the two girls that I discovered, like, well, they're Chinese, and then I looked them up and like, oh my god, this is Korean. I had no idea. And to be honest, I also felt kind of dumb because I felt like there's no way that this is something that came out of China, because I felt like this was more of a Japanese kind of thing, because the Japanese do a lot of cool and interesting, fun stuff. I mean, like the technology, the video games, the anime.
Right.
You know better than I do about Japanese culture.
Yeah.
And so I assumed it was Japanese music. So when I started looking them up, and I looked up Miss A, and like, this is all Korean. And then I remembered, I started doing research on it, and I remembered, oh my god, I've heard a K-pop song prior to this, Gangnam Style.
Yeah.
Was spot on. Mm-hmm. And then I realized I had heard another song by a K-pop group, by To Anyone. I'm like, I remember that song too. It was about the same time, or within the same. I don't know if it was the same year or what. I'm like, I've heard this stuff before. Mm-hmm. Listening to Gundam Style now, I look back at it, I'm like, that was actually a really good song. But when it first came out, I'm like, stop playing this annoying song.
Yeah, that was my take on it.
But I think, despite the Wonder Girls and Girls' Generation and a lot of other really talented artists and groups, I think that was the turning point. Was Spy's Gundam song style.
Definitely. I mean, that was the first time I had heard about K-pop. I knew about J-pop, and I'd purchased some J-pop, in the years prior to Gangnam Style, but I had no idea, about K-pop. And I remember hearing him and thinking this is just kind of weird, because I mean, even though J-pop is known for having kind of overly upbeat songs, there were a lot of like people that I listened to who were like middle-aged male artists like him. They were doing in J-pop, they were doing, more serious ballads. They had guitars and they were more serious. They were doing serious things that seemed to fit like a middle-aged man, and then I saw this guy and he's pretending to ride a horse and he's completely crazy. I'm like, this guy is off the rails. He's deranged, I said, this is nothing like, what I'm used to from J-pop, because this was J-pop, it would have been some serious ballad, and so that kind of turned me off. I was like, well, this isn't like what I'm used to. But then, some years went by, and I heard a couple girl groups, and then I saw a photo of several members of different girl groups, and one just kind of caught my attention, and I said, who is this? And I looked at the description, it said Wendy, and I said, what does that mean? Wendy who? I don't know what Wendy means. What group is that? So then I went on to Google and just typed in K-pop group with Wendy, and it brought up Red Velvet. And I was like, now this is, I just got blown away. I was like, this is what, something that I can really get into. This is really solid. I mean, the MVs are amazing from them. The music is amazing. I'm like, this is a good reason to start standing K-pop groups and get into K-pop. It's because this is not, I mean, he said, and I like, Gangnam Style too, looking back on it. But at the time, he said, I was used to hearing these, if there was going to be an older male singer, usually it was going to be more ballady from J-pop. So to hear that, to me, was the dichotomy. I couldn't wrap my head around it. This would be this middle-aged man trying to ride a horse. I mean, that was something that you might see in J-pop for like a young girl group, but not for a middle-aged man. I just was kind of thrown off by that, taken aback at first. But so now I enjoy it, and still I mostly like the girl groups. I'm just not really the boy group sound doesn't really, to me, that comes out of Korea is not that great. I still kind of like, I think some male solo artists and small groups from Japan are okay, but for some reason I've never gotten into the sound. I do listen to it. I've listened to it in person when I used to go to in-person events with K-pop stands. I'd hear them playing boy bands and watching the MVs and everything. And I mean there was occasional things I like, but for some reason I just can't get into the sound of the boy groups from Korea. Like I said, Japan, some of them are all right. Like Bumpa Chicken is kind of is one that's been big on the charts in Japan lately, and they have an interesting sound, but obviously nothing like that would ever happen probably with with K-pop. But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad I did find Red Velvet when I did, and that really made me into a serious fan. But I mean, if I would have had, a few years earlier with Gangnam Style, if I would have gotten into it then, I might have been able to see, I would have been able to see Red Velvet debut. I would have been able to see, more of that. And then I got into AOA right after I got into Red Velvet. I think I saw AOA, and I saw AOA, and I saw they had the whole black thing with the instruments. And I'm like, oh, this is very much like something you would see in Japan. Something very. So it was just kind of me trying to wrap my head around the Korean stuff versus me coming from this, knowing all this Japanese stuff, and that was, to me, was the kind of the transition into K-pop, was how do I relate this to what I already know? Because I just kind of assumed that K-pop would be a lot like the Japanese industry, or a lot like, the way things are done there. And obviously it's not, but it's great in its own respect. And I know I'm going to be releasing next week, not only my top 20 K-pop, but also be releasing my top 20 J-pop that I do every year. So, but yeah, it was great. I don't know if you have any closing remarks here from my guest, Tim, but anything else you want to say?
I honestly, I'm pretty sure when we're done, I'll be like, oh, I forgot to mention that. But like, yeah, it's just amazing that looking back at it, like I used to say, I wish they stopped playing that Gundam Style song because it's obnoxious.
Right.
But looking back at it, I'm like, I really missed an opportunity of getting into it earlier.
That's what I feel. Yeah, I feel.
Like, and then like, I get a lot of this crap too, and I hate getting a lot of this crap. But like, when I first stumbled across this star, like, it was just Bora really caught my attention because, not only is she very talented and she can rap really well, she can also sing very well, but like I found her very attractive. And like, a lot of people are like, well, that's the only reason you like K-pop is because of the pretty girls. I'm like, no, that's just like another added layer to this whole phenomenon. It's the music, it's the concept, it's, everybody's got their favorite member. Maybe it's based on looks or talent or personality. I like Sana, obviously, or Sana from Twice because she is obviously very pretty, but she's very bubbly, very outgoing, and she's just, she's just fun. And again, that's just another added layer to this whole thing. So, look, I guess, like I said, looking back on it, like I wish I would have got into it sooner, but I didn't. But I think maybe it's just me just being strange, but I think I was meant to find Star and Miss A at the time I did, because when I started getting into it and I kind of kept it to myself, and eventually like everybody found out, like, oh, my family members make jokes and like, oh, he likes K-pop, what they do to me is what I do to my sister because she likes Star Wars, I'm like, Star Wars is for nerds, and she'll do the same thing back to me. But when I started buying albums, I figured I'd get a couple, like, oh, I'd get, Dreamcatcher or Twice, some of my favorite groups. I didn't expect I'd have 147.
Yeah.
So,
no ball.
Of course,
no pun intended.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have way more than me.
Right.
And there's people that have less than me, obviously, because, whether it's a financial reason or, I know some people that are married and have families and they can't buy albums because, family first. I'll spoil myself later down the road, but, I'm a single guy. I have very little things to pay for.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what albums am I buying today? And like I said, I have a book, or a spiral notebook of albums I want to get with different groups again. some still here, some not. Some eventually in the future will disband. And I think when the day comes that when my favorite groups start to disband, that's when it'll be like. I remember when when Sistar and Miss A disbanded. Miss A wasn't as a big surprise because they hadn't done anything in a while.
Right.
But with Sistar, it hurt a little because that was literally my first group I got into, and it hurt just a little bit. But years down the road, when you start seeing like Blackpink and Twice and Dreamcatcher and Red Velvet, like we're going our separate ways because we want to do other things, or you hearing that the members are getting married and starting families and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
but yeah, I never thought I would say probably 2011-ish, I never thought I'd be this deep into this world. And the only negative side about this world is obviously the super, super toxic fans that, as you know, I've had some run-ins with some people, and I do my best to try to ignore that, but some of these people they just want to fight.
right.
Like there's no point in fighting over who's got the better group, or just to be honest, I thought I never knew the dark side of K-pop with not just the toxic fans, but obviously the bullying with groups and other different things. But I hope, and some people say this, and I'm not sure about it, that K-pop will one day bring the world together. But that's, a lot of people say that about music overall. So.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, you had the British invasion, there was no internet, but now you have the Korean invasion and you have internet. So, that definitely helps.
Yeah. I tell my sister all the time, I say, and she, again, being a typical sister, cracks on me. I always tell her, you know what? You can't stop the K-pop wave. And she just kind of laughs and rolls her eyes. But, there's some truth to it, though.
Right.
It's a freight train that's going 100 miles an hour. It's not going to stop until, I guess you would say until the fad runs out. Just like with everything, yo-yos were popular at one time, and different things that were popular eventually. But you look at the Beatles and Elvis, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other people that I can't think of right now. There's still Michael Jackson too. They're still popular.
Right.
So I still see that K-pop for a very long time will be popular.
I mean, yeah, it's amazing. You look at with the TikTok stuff. I mean, you look at Fleetwood Mac getting back into the charts and everything, and being, Dreams going to number 2 or something. Again, I mean, it went to number 1 in '77, and now it's 43 years later, it's like a number 2 again because of just the timeless nature of it, and just now with the internet being around, it can reach even. And that was one of the greatest selling. Rumors was one of the greatest selling albums of all time, and now it's reaching a whole other level because of the internet. To quote Childish Gambino there, because of the internet, it's become even bigger somehow. And said now that because this is the whole Korean wave, because of the whole K-pop phenomenon, the international side of it is happening with the internet age. I mean, I don't know where this is going to end. It could end, who knows how long this could end. It could just keep going on forever. So, I mean, I'm very pleased to see that. And hopefully people will, be decent about it, continue to be decent about it. I mean, I know that it's, the more people that get on the bandwagon, the more toxic you said you'll get people that are just, out to start fights and things. But hopefully people will be respectful moving forward, and maybe more respectful, and continue to really just enjoy the music and be united as a community. So
right. Just let people like what groups they want to like,
Yeah.
But as you know, and I know that some people are like, no, this is my group. You go find your own. But I've come to the point that I'm not going to fight with these people. And if anybody says anything or, tries to start, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me about it. I don't care. I'm going to listen to my groups. I'm going to still support them, be a fan.
Yeah.
And, I've bought stuff that some people are like, why would you spend money on that? Like on the side of my wall over here, I got, 5 Billboard magazines, 4 of them with each member of Blackpink, and the 5th one's got all of them on it. And then also the posters that came with it behind me.
Yeah.
So, and it was like $80 because it was from Billboard magazine. But I'm like, you do realize down the road that all of this stuff could be worth a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Like,
look at the Beatles merch, especially the signed stuff.
Yeah, it's like I bought Dreamcatcher's debut album for and again, I got kind of like crapped on by my family about this, but I spent $150 on the debut album, but it's out of print. You cannot find it.
Oh yeah, I know these are signed. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was lucky to find it. I had some help, and a friend of mine is like, it's on eBay. Put your bid in. Don't miss out on this because you don't know when next time will pop up. And I didn't want to go over. Yeah, I didn't want to go over $150. That was my limit.
Right.
And I spent that exact amount, and that includes shipping for the album too.
Right.
Somebody had told me the other day that another one popped up on eBay, and they're like, "You should buy it." And I'm like, "I'm good with one." Yeah, I see all these fans that will buy like 27 albums.
Oh yeah, they will.
Do you really need that many? Like, well, I want the photo cards. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, well, that's.
I get it. Why they do it? Why they collect it? They'll turn around and sell those albums on eBay, which people like me wind up buying up anyways. Like, I don't care about the photo cards. I just want the CD.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Facebook groups and going on eBay. I mean, I know myself. You can trade photo cards or just outright buy other ones from people who don't want those members. So I mean, there's always other options for that, but also sometimes it's for these fan meet giveaways too. They have these, we'll do a special fan meet if so many people that buy the Make Star edition or whatever.
Yeah, I get the point of all that, but like one album is good enough for me. Who I pull out of that album photo card wise, whether it's my bias or not, I'm I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it,
Yeah.
But like somebody told me about that Dreamcatcher album probably a couple weeks ago. They told me you should buy it, but I watched the auction. I kept my eye on it to see how high it would go.
Right.
It went for $672.
Wow, that's amazing.
That person made a killing on that album, but people want it. And I tell this to my family all the time, like, you do realize that someday when Dreamcatcher's not around anymore, that album could be worth, who knows, $1,000.
Oh yeah, it can be thousands of dollars. Yeah,
especially the fact that the first 3 albums, being that there was limited quantity, are out of print. It's going to be worth. It's not like it's not like Twice or BTS's albums aren't going to be worth anything, because I think they will.
Yeah,
but there's so much more
available. Yeah,
they're worth they're with huge companies.
Right. Yeah. Same like with Saturday. I mean, the first, what was it? Two albums, I believe it was. They only had just the promotional physical copies. And those are the same way. Those are I've been I myself used to try to look for those a lot. I mean, I don't have any copy of those physical copy because
I do.
It's very hard to find those.
Yeah, I have the one that they just released this past year, and I have nothing else from them because, like you said, they're insanely hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I ever find one, I will try to buy it, but I'll have to set a limit on how much I want to spend on it. Because I don't want to go like, whoever bought that Dreamcatcher album for $670 some odd dollars. I hope you had that money, because if you didn't, you're screwing over somebody who's selling it.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I saw someone
that I spent $150 on an album. Like, yeah, but it's out of print, and it's $150. Looking back at it now, it's a lot better than spending $600.
Right. Oh yeah, obviously. But yeah, I I saw someone with the Saturday. I was going to say that I saw someone with the Saturday, the Wi-Fi one, I believe it was. They're like, yeah, I got one of the promo copies for $20 on eBay. And I was like, what? $20 for that's insane. Something that rare. But I mean, it's just a matter of, you have to just keep checking. I mean, it's one of those things. There are several things that I look for on eBay, where I constantly am checking them, searching for them to see if there are new auctions, because you have to, because you'll get these times people will just like, I don't really care about the money. I'll just put it up for a small amount and see what people bid on it, and then they end up getting it. They start like 5 cents or something, and then they work their way up to $20, which is nothing for any album, but especially something that is that rare, that was only released as a promo. To have it be $20 was just insane. And everyone's like, how'd you do that? And I was like, well, just kept looking at eBay and stuff. And someone put it up that started out very, very small. And so it's just a matter of keeping your eye. If there's an album or something that you want, just keep your eye on eBay and just see when someone will put up an auction for it. And who knows, maybe you'll get it for not too bad of a price.
Yeah, there was a Miss A album that I missed out on. It was for $25. It was a buy it now option, and I had the money. I went to put the extra money in the bank, and by the time I got back to my phone to buy it, it was gone. Mm-hmm. I was like, I really wanted that album, and I still can't find that album.
Yeah,
it was like I think it was actually their debut album, if I'm not mistaken. But I wanted it. It was $25. Somebody snatched it up before I could get it. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
you have fun. It was still brand new. It was still in the plastic wrap.
Wow.
And I'm like, you have no idea you could be making more money off of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to tell you about it because I want to buy it for $25. But
right, I don't say anything yet.
Yeah, I missed out on it. Somebody else got it before me, but that's just how it goes.
That's life.
Yeah.
It's the Kpop life. It's the best life. The Kpop life is the best life. That should be my slogan, I think. I've been saying that for a while. The Kpop life is the best life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. But yeah, a phenomenal year, 2020, for just so many great comebacks, great debuts, the season groups, the rookie groups. No matter how you slice it, 2020 may have been a bad year, but it was a great year for K-pop. I mean, overall it was a bad year, but K-pop just really shined this year. And moving forward in 2021, I hope that it's going to be another phenomenal year. And with that, I'm signing out. I'm the Only Living Fanboy with my guest, Tim. And hopefully one of you, maybe next month. I'm going to do this every month. Now, obviously, this one went a little bit longer than I intended because we were doing, a full year review. But we're going to be doing, I'll be doing myself, I know, shorter ones every month at the end of the month, or maybe the beginning of the month. We'll see how it goes. Just recapping the comebacks, the debuts, and just getting a guest or maybe several guests feedback on that. So if you're interested, just reach out to me, and we can have you on here too, just like Tim. So thank you, Tim, for being here.